I think so.
Hang on. I'll turn it off a minute. Oh, listen to us. Pause. Hello, Fatima. How are you doing?
Hi, Karen. I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me.
That's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So we've met a couple of times. You've spoken at my Uprise and Shine conferences, which is great. And I know the first time you came, you weren't a planned speaker, but you just came and said, "Can I talk about a breathing technique?"
Yeah.
And you had everybody in the palm of your hands. Everybody was loving what you did. So then you've come back as a speaker, and now it's great to have you on the Wise Women Weekdays show. So for firstly, tell us all a little bit about yourself. You know, how did you get to what you're doing, what you're going to show us? Tell us some backstory.
So I've been doing these breathing techniques ever since I left uni. That was like some 24 years ago. So I'm showing you my age here. And I think that I came across it by accident. That's the best way to describe it. I had a friend at university who just said, "Oh, there's this breathing course. Are you interested?" And I thought, yeah, why not? Breathing course sounds pretty neutral, pretty, like something that just sparked my curiosity, shall we say. So I went along and I learned this technique called the Sudarshan Kriya. It was like a rhythmic breathing technique. And it was quite mind-blowing. It was very intense and it sort of, I think it released trauma that I never knew I had, is probably the best way I can describe it. Um, and it sort of started me on this journey to explore more about the power of the breath, what it can do for us. And I had such a profound experience in actually practicing this technique for myself
Mm.
that I sort of became really keen and exploring further about it. And eventually now becoming a practitioner of it and being able to instruct others to actually practice this technique. There's lots of other techniques as well that I've learned along the way. Um, it's all via an organization called the Art of Living Foundation that I've been, learning and practicing these techniques. And it's been quite an interesting journey of self-discovery, and also just realizing that we have this wonderful tool right under our nose because it's our breath. And it's with us all the time. And all we need to do is really harness its potential, and figure out how we're breathing, what it can actually do for us, and explore, all the different techniques and the connections, I guess,
Yeah,
between our breath, our emotions, our mind, because that's really where the magic lies.
yeah.
Yeah.
So so it's a kriya. So have you kind of bypassed the yoga to get to this? Because obviously kriya is part of yoga, isn't it? It's a cleansing tool. Did you
Yeah.
go through the yoga channel first of all, and then went, into the pranayama, the breathing techniques, or did you go
So
for it?
it's like it's almost as if it's like some sort of an assumption that we make that yoga is part of this as well. And in some ways, when you are doing breathing techniques and practices, you do incorporate some asanas, some pranayams, as you've just mentioned, because all of these, they prepare your body for what's to come. And in some ways, everything is interlinked in these practices. So there are some breathing techniques that you do alongside of, say, holding an asana, that can actually elevate, your benefit that you are getting from your yogic practice. So there is that element to it. I've also trained in yoga separately, so there's always that complement between the yoga and the breathing techniques, and one definitely helps the other. But the breathing techniques can be done with or without the yoga with it.
Yeah, you don't need to go into the postures.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And is it a form of pranayama? For those that aren't familiar with these words, when we talk about an asana, that is a posture. And
yeah,
when we talk about a pranayama, it's working with the prana, with the energy, using the breath.
yeah.
So, and the kriya, again, as I said earlier, is like a cleansing method. Well, can you explain what a kriya is for our audience?
So kriya, the word kriya actually means when you're doing an action, okay? And if I break down the actual name of the technique, so Sudarshan Kriya. So Su means like a proper, a correct way of doing something or seeing something. And Darshan is vision. So this in some ways means clarity of thought. And in some other way, you can also then combine it with the word kriya. So it's a proper vision which gives you the clarity to act and do. according to that proper vision. So in some ways, it's sort of it's like this unifying, clarifying thought that enables you to then act with that pure consciousness. And when you're saying that it's a cleansing technique, it very much is. It detoxifies your body on a very cellular level. So it really sort of goes in and cleanses each and every cell. There's been so many different studies to show this, as well as brain activity and what effect it has in terms of the neurological benefit of practicing the techniques.
And why this one? Why is this what's so special about this one as opposed to the other careers? Why have you chosen this one?
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
it's a busy cat coming on. That's nice. There's a busy cat. Lovely.
Right, Kitty. So why this technique? I think that for me, it's been like the jewel in the crown of every breathing technique that I've ever come across. There's been nothing as powerful as or as profound as the effect that this particular technique has given me. So I can almost say, like, without a shadow of a doubt, that this is like the technique that has had the most impact on me as an individual. And I know so many other people for whom that is also true.
And can you
Um,
give us a little bit more, Fatima, about what kind of impact? What does it make you do? Sleep better? Heal you through
it
all.
does. It helps with sleep. It helps with feeling the ability to actually come back from like any adverse experience that you might have had in your life, right? It can set you back for either a minute, a day, a week, a year, okay, or 10 years,
Yeah.
depending on your resilience and then your ability to bounce back from such situations. So I guess for me, this technique has allowed me to have that ability to bounce back almost immediately so that you're not sort of dwelling on anything that has happened in your life. Because I mean, we know that life is full of ups and downs, right? We get presented with challenges every single moment of our lives, whether that's, day-to-day stresses or something even longer term. And in the end, it's our resilience, it's our ability to actually come back and still live our best lives. And this is what this technique has allowed me to do. Because sure, I've had ups and downs, sure, I've had challenges, but I've been able to somehow sort of sail through them, right? I've been able to ride the wave a lot more easily because this practice has been there to sort of support me along the way. So that's
Wow.
probably the best way I can sum that up.
And it's something you practice every day then. So it's a
It
regular
is. Yes,
in the
yes, it is.
morning, in the evening,
In
when
the
do you do
morning
it?
is best. In the
Yeah.
morning is absolutely a perfect time to begin your day with this technique. I did it this morning, having a great Sunday. But in the sense that when we practice these techniques, yes, you can get it into a routine that works for you. So although mornings are really quite ideal, because it sets you up for the rest of your day. If you find that, you just don't have time in the morning or you're a late riser, whatever the case may be, then you could do it, in your early afternoon
Right.
or evening
Yeah.
even. But best not to do it just before bed because it does actually energize you. And you can't sleep so well immediately after doing this as a practice.
Right. It's
Other
mitigated.
techniques you can
Yeah.
do to help you sleep better.
And food wise, I know when one practices yoga, they say don't eat before an hour, like really with any exercise. So should you have a space between your eating?
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
there is a recommendation that you haven't had a heavy meal beforehand, and that if you've eaten very lightly, and then you've left an hour between that
Yeah.
and doing this technique. Yes, yeah,
Cool. Okay. I'm intrigued. So do you want to take us through it or demonstrate it? How are we
yeah.
going to do this?
So let me sort of come back a step. So basically, in terms of the preparation techniques that come before learning the Sudarshan Kriya. I can show you a few of those today. I can't actually show you the full Sudarshan Kriya because that's something that you'd need to learn with an instructor in person. And also, it takes a number of hours to learn the technique. So I can give you a flavor of what the techniques precursors are like
Hmm.
that prepare your body for it, which are effective and powerful in their own right. And if somebody wanted to then go ahead and learn this technique, it's something that you'd need to do in a workshop. which takes place over 3 days. And it's something that literally you'd need to do like 3 hours, 3 hours, and 3 hours consecutively. And then you'll actually learn a technique that you can embed within your daily practice. And it's there for you for your life. Yeah.
That's quite a lot of training for one breathing exercise,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it
So
is.
why is it so long?
So I think that the way that the technique is taught, it is something that your body needs to also sort of acclimatize to. And it is very intense. It's an experience that your body will literally like kind of almost like reel from in the first instance because it is quite a profound technique. It's actually quite difficult to describe it because it's very experiential. And you need to literally go through it yourself to really maybe even understand why I'm finding it hard to describe it
Yeah,
in its full detail. But it's a different experience for different people. It's also different intensity for different people, depending on where you are in your life and your experiences to date. Um, there's also Sudarshan Kriya for younger children, for adolescents, for people at different stages of their life. There's a slightly different version of it because it's something that you need to do that also uh, like say, for example, you've got a child learning Sudarshan Kriya, it's not going to be the adult's version of Sudarshan Kriya
yeah,
because their nervous system is not ready for that intensity of experience. So we have a different Kriya for, say, the 8 to 12 age group. Then there's a slightly different Kriya for the 13 to 18 age group. And then there's the adult Kriya as well. So
wow.
so it's
Wow.
something that's quite tailored to the state of
Yeah.
your nervous system and that stage of development that you're at as well.
So can it? I mean, can we all do it then, as long as we're
You
taught
can, if
correctly?
you breathe, you can do it.
Okay. And the other question, which might sound a bit odd, but I will ask, is it dangerous? Like, when one is hyperventilating sometimes, you can cause, your body
Yeah.
problems. So is there anything
There
that
is there is a danger to doing this by yourself when you don't know what you're doing.
okay?
And that's why it is recommended that you learn under the supervision of somebody that's been trained as a practitioner of it. And you need to take your time and learn it. Like you were saying, why does it take 3 days to learn this? So it's not a technique you can just watch a YouTube video and learn it and off you go. It's not one of those techniques. It really does need your investment of time and to do it properly. So it's something that, I mean, in ancient India, when these sorts of techniques, not the Sudarshan Kriya per se, but other techniques were taught or passed down, people had to, spend a very, very long time to acquire this sort of knowledge and really sort of maybe earn or deserve that
Yeah.
technique, right, to be passed to them. It has been made quite readily accessible in this format, which it's quite when I did it, for example, all those years ago, I learned it over like 6 full days, because the course itself was much longer. Now, because of I guess, our modern day living, where people can't take out 6 days to learn a technique, it's been sort of really condensed down to the bare minimum that it can possibly be, which is now 3 times 3 hours.
Yeah.
So it still takes 9 hours. But it's so worth it. It's an investment
So
that you make in
so
yourself.
that's what I was going to ask you. 3 hours over 3 days. That's obviously for your body to adjust, is it? Or to then you've learned the foundation, then you're moving on to the next stage, and then the next stage. Is that kind of how it
Yeah,
works?
kind of. It's like your body is going through a process,
Yeah.
and you go through, a process in the first instance of learning the technique and practicing it once, and then you'll practice it again, and then you'll practice it a third time where you are actually learning to embed that within your home practice. So it's a three-stage process that way. Yeah.
And when I said what are the benefits of it, because one is spending so much time. I think into, like you said, we're in a very speedy world in which we live now. Everything's now, 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 isn't it? So if somebody's going to invest 3 days of their time to learn this technique, they really do want a profound change at the end. I mean, what can it heal you of something of serious illness, or does it just give you a more pleasant life? Is what
It
I'm.
depends. I would say that there is no silver magic bullet or anything that is guaranteed in learning this technique. So it doesn't come with like, you do this technique and you'll be cured for life and, XYZ. It's not that sort of a promise that's made. In fact, it's kind of said, drop all your expectations. You're going to get nothing from this.
Yeah.
You will get as much as you put in. You will get as much as your body needs, and everybody is different.
Yeah.
However, it's what your body and what your life and what you need as a person, that is what you will get. So it's right for you, whatever happens after learning this technique.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm intrigued. So are you going to, you said you wanted to show some slides. Is this the right time to show some slides or do you want to do a demonstration? I think you might have frozen as well, actually, Fatima. Maybe that's, are you fiddling around with your screen? Are you there?
Experience how it's
Yeah.
been for you.
Yes. Sorry, you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
froze.
Sorry, I'm
You
not
just
sure.
froze then. That's okay. So I was going to say, did you want to show some slides or do a demonstration? How would you like to proceed to,
Yeah. So I'm happy to show you a technique or two that would be like the precursors to learning Sudarshan Kriya, and that
okay.
prepares your body. And I also have a few processes or slides and things that we can go into as well. Kitty might be joining us too.
Yeah, lovely. I like that.
So one of the techniques that we do is a breathing style called the Ujjayi breath. Okay, it's something which then lends itself to doing further pranayams to prepare your body for the Sudarshan Kriya. So if you've heard of Ujjayi breathing, Ujjayi means the victory over your emotions, right? And it's all about taking us from that fight or flight mode, okay, back to our calm, relaxed state of our nervous system, going from the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. Just making sure that you are at your best calm state before you go into the Sudarshan Kriya. So in learning Ujjayi breathing, you need to restrict the back of your throat as you breathe. And this way, it allows you to elongate your in breath and also your out breath. So, the way that I teach this is imagine you've got a mirror in front of you and you are trying to fog it up, you're trying to mist it, right? So, what you would end up doing is sort of making a, I don't know if you can hear me,
Yeah.
making, so I'm breathing out with a, and now I'm going to actually close my mouth and see if I can make the same sound, but breathing out through my nose. So, and then draw the breath in using the same space. So, and then breathing out again. So you'll notice that the air is flowing right at the back passage of your throat, and there's a slight restriction there. Yeah. So when you're breathing in, you're drawing the air in and you're drawing the air out using a slightly restricted throat. What happens is you're able to really channel the breath in a way that allows you to extend the in breath and extend or prolong the out breath. Yeah. And what we do is we count in for 4. So we're breathing in, and then you're holding it for 4. And then you're breathing out for 4. And you're holding it for 2. Yeah. And what will happen is that you will be able to extend that out breath. So you will be able to then breathe out for 6. So it will be breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 6, and then holding for 2. Yeah. And what this does is it really, really invokes a very calm state in your body. This is the type of technique that you can do actually to help you sleep, because it's very relaxing. And if you do this for a few minutes, you may nod off yourself right now, Karen, right?
I'm still here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is known as the Ujjayi breath.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we do this for about 10 minutes with some different hand positions as well, that again channel the energy. And this is actually a pranayam. So if you do it with some hand positions, then it becomes a way to actually direct the prana throughout your body. Okay, so that's the Ujjayi breath. Um, I wanted to do a little activity with you, if you don't
Yeah,
mind,
not at all.
right? And it's just something for fun. Um, that there are different moments in your life. There could be certain moments that you feel that somebody's triggered you, right?
Hmm.
And we all have different triggers, right? It could be, if you, for example, you speak to a child, it could be that they have an annoying little brother or sister, and then that triggers them. Okay. It could be as an adult, you have similarly with your partner or something else, neighbor. It could be anybody in your life that just easily manages to what we call push our buttons, right? So we all have people around us that know how to push our buttons. Um, so would you like to learn well, actually, before you learn this, let's see if I can push your button, Karen, okay?
Push away, Fatima.
Okay. So I want you to imagine that I have found the secret to pushing your button. So there is that something, you know it, I know it, okay? And I found it and I've got hold of it now and I'm going to use it against you, okay? So it's going to make you angry, right? I've found that thing that makes you angry, and I'm gonna like use my Zoom here. So I'm pushing your button. I'm like literally I'm in your face. I'm pushing that button. Okay. I'm really, really angering you right now because I've found the thing that really triggers you. Yeah. And I'm doing it willfully. So just imagine I am pushing that button and I keep on doing it. I'm just not letting up. Okay. I keep pushing, 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 pushing. And I want you now to just close your eyes and internalize that feeling that you have in your body that somebody's managed to push your button. How does that make you feel inside? What emotions are coming up for you?
Frustration,
Hmm.
anger,
Yeah,
wanting to get my own back, wanting to push him away to stop it, all negative stuff, really.
yeah. And how do you feel in the body? You can open your eyes if you like. So when you're feeling this frustration, this anger, this sort of, wanting to resist and push back, what happens in your breathing?
When it gets quicker, when you feel a little bit agitated and, you start getting a little bit more wound up like a panting dog. Mm.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what's happening physically in your body? Are you feeling hot? Are you feeling cold?
Yeah, I think because you haven't totally pushed me, but I'm trying to put myself in that scene where somebody has triggered me. The blood pressure's rising, kind of thing. The heart's, going faster.
Yep.
I'm feeling hot, irate, angry. You want to punch somebody out. Not that I'm a punchy person, but yeah, you just want them to stop. So physically, it's not a healthy. It's a fight or flight thing again, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's causing stress.
yeah, absolutely. So I managed to push your button, right?
Yeah.
So I got what I wanted. Yeah, I wanted to make you angry. I made you angry. What did you get?
Discomfort. I didn't get anything out of it. I got annoyed, so nothing positive.
Okay, so who won in that?
You did. I don't
Right.
like people winning over me. I'm being pushed button here. Yeah. So it's not a good
So I
feeling.
got what I wanted, Karen, right? I
Yeah.
got what I
Yeah.
wanted. And you gave me that,
Yeah. It's a
right?
choice,
I
isn't it?
wanted to make you angry,
Mm.
and you gave me that by getting angry, right? So do you see what happens in our interplay with different people in our lives?
Yeah.
Okay, there are people out there, they actually want to push our buttons. Okay, they might get some satisfaction from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We don't know, right? Um, and we're letting them. Okay, we are actually letting them. We are giving them what they want, right? And in some ways, I liken this to like a remote control. So imagine you have like a remote control that's controlling you, okay? And you're saying to somebody else, here, take my remote control. You push any button you like, and I will change according to whatever channel you want to watch, right? They want to watch your angry channel, they'll press a button and you'll get angry. They want to, frustrate you, they'll push the frustration button and off you get frustrated, right? So literally, you've given away the most precious thing in the world, which is control over your own emotions, and you've given that to somebody else, right?
Mm.
And this is what we do in our day to day. We're giving our most precious remote control of us to somebody else, right?
Mm.
And this is now the magic of the breathing techniques, is that we can reclaim that remote control back for ourselves. Because in some ways, being able to come back, from adversity, come back from any time when somebody's pushed your button, or not actually let them push it in the first place, being able to actually be immune to
Mm.
button pushing, right? So we call it button proof, right? So if you don't in any way, shape, or form react if somebody's trying to push your button, you're button proof, right?
Yeah.
Would you like to take a button proof challenge, Karen?
Go on. Yes,
Yeah.
I would. I think so. I
Right.
can't say no,
Challenge
can I?
you.
Because we're recording it. But yes, I would. I'd love to.
With this awareness,
Yeah.
right? That yes, there are people out there trying to push your buttons.
Mm.
However, you know that breathing technique we did, the Ujjayi breathing,
You
right?
don't.
That has the capacity to really return you to a state of calm at will. Yeah.
Yeah.
So using a technique like that, even if you feel you normally say react to, you could go to that breathing technique and it will bring your body back into that state of calm. And with that, you could actually take this challenge. So you could say, okay, look, I'm going to be button proof for the next 24 hours. I'm going to, with this awareness that yes, there are these people or situations even that could push my buttons, but I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to hold on to my precious remote control myself. I'm not going to give it away to anybody else so cheaply, right? I'm going to hold on to it. And I'm going to use my breathing to help me stay in that zone of calm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take that challenge and let me know how you get on. So over the next 24 hours, just sort of observe yourself, observe situations, observe maybe those trigger points that you are maybe already aware of. There could be some that come out of the out of the woodwork or unexpectedly, but you know some of those regular trigger
Yeah.
points as well, right? So
Yeah.
watch out for them, catch yourself, and then see whether maybe going to that breathing technique helped you, and just observe, because sometimes when we just from that point of being a witness to our own feelings and being able to observe almost like a third party, right, we get so much more clarity with how our own mind works. We can, that metacognition that people talk about, so we can learn to understand ourselves better, to understand our reactions, to understand what makes us tick, right?
Yeah.
And with that understanding, we are better able to be in control of it going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Fabulous. Fabulous.
I have some slides that I'd also like to share.
Hmm.
Let's see if I can do that. So, um, yeah, you've made me host. Thank you. So what I'm about to share with you, um, okay. Is it sharing a screen right now?
Yeah. I can see just
Yeah.
Zoom. The Zoom screens come up.
Zoom screen. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Um, all right. Are you seeing this?
Yeah. The new science. The new science. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. I'm just going to scroll a little bit until I get to this. Okay. So, can you see this question?
Yeah. How do we typically deal with stress?
How do we typically deal with stress? So, um, what I really want to get to is the emotions and the breath, right? So, there's a direct link between the emotions and the breath. And when I was pushing your button, Karen, you were telling me, or you were feeling like as if your breath was maybe quickening, right? And getting more up here. Maybe it was getting a bit shallower and a little bit faster, right? As you were getting angry. And this is actually a phenomenon that is true universally, right? So we as human beings, we have certain breathing patterns that we tend to go to depending on the emotions that we are feeling. And anger brings on a quickening pace of our breathing. It also brings about a shallower breathing. And this has been studied all across the world, that this is true of everybody. It's also true that when we are relaxed and when we are happy, our breathing is a lot more relaxed in turn, right? And it's longer and it's deeper. And it's also a lot more regular. It's not as erratic. Yeah. So studies have been done that show this connection over and over again with our breathing, depending on the emotion we feel. So if we feel fear, for example, then it's quite similar to anger in terms of it being quite erratic and fast and shallow and all of that. So, what really got me thinking about the breath is that the connection works both ways, right? We can either let our emotions determine the state of our breathing, or we can actually use quite cleverly our breath to determine our emotions, right? So by breathing in a certain way, in a certain rhythm, we can actually invoke that feeling of calm back into our bodies, right? So there's a two-way relationship, and that's really important to understand that if we breathe a certain way, we can end up feeling a certain way, right? So if somebody decides to hyperventilate on purpose, okay, and go to that really quick, shallow breathing, they're going to end up feeling that flustered frustration, in their body. They're going to be able to produce that at will. And similarly, if a person, really, really takes a very calm, deep breathing technique approach and breathes on purpose, very consciously in that style, then you can actually create that sense of calm. You can create happiness in the body. You can create bliss in the body just by the way that you're breathing. Yeah. And this important, vice versa connection, if we just turn it on its head, that now we're in charge. We're not going to let our emotions rule our breath. We're going to do it the other way around. That's really the key here. And that's what learning breathing techniques allows you to do. It allows you to be the master of your emotions rather than letting them rule you. Yeah.
Mm. It's amazing, something as we do take for granted because we just breathe autonomously, don't we, on its own kind of thing, and the power that it can give us, it's quite incredible when you break it down.
Because I mean, normally, are we even aware that we're breathing, right? Unless we're running
No,
for a bus or, out of breath for some other reason, like we've, just jogged or exercised. We're not even actually aware of how we're breathing, what we're doing. And it's something that we really take for granted too much.
we do, and we don't always breathe properly, do we? We just have shallow breath. We just don't use the full capacity of our lungs, which is a bit of a shame. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, our breath has, or our lungs actually, in terms of being a detox vehicle for our body, we have the capacity to actually eliminate 90% of the toxins in our body just via the breath.
mm,
But as you've mentioned, we're not using our full lung capacity. We only use regularly, like, I mean, on average, people use only 30% of their total lung capacity on their day-to-day regular breathing. So just imagine if we're only using 30%, but we could have eliminated 90% of our toxins that way. There's
yeah,
such potential there, right? If
yeah.
we just increase our lung capacity and we're breathing consciously, then that is such an excellent detox pathway.
And it feels good as well, doesn't it? I think when you are told, whether it is in a yoga class or in a a breath awareness class, when you're told how to breathe and you do breathe fully, you feel so much better. It is amazing,
Absolutely.
but you have to stop and be told to do that, which is a bit silly, really.
But the more you practice these techniques, the more it becomes a part of you, right?
Yeah,
And then
automatically.
it's going to happen subconsciously. So in the beginning, yes, you do make a little bit of effort and you're learning the techniques and you're maybe consciously practicing them. But after a while, it just becomes second nature and it
Yeah,
becomes part of you. And I guess for me, like, I'm not really thinking about it now. I'm just sort of going to these breathing patterns almost autonomously. There's been a couple of people who have learned Sudarshan Kriya and then written about it, in various different ways. So there's this book called Breath by James Nestor. I really recommend anybody that's really interested in finding out more about the breath in general And his experience of learning Sudarshan Kriya is mentioned in a quite, humorous way in his book. So it's called The New Science of a Lost Art. But very, very interesting. He went all around the world exploring how our breath is, this amazing thing that we just don't that we take for granted and we
Yeah.
don't know much about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to probably finish sharing screen. Oh, there's another couple of books here. There's one called The Happiness Track. This is by Emma Sapala. She's one of these PhD research professors, I think at Yale. And there's been studies all over in terms of finding out the benefits of this and exactly what goes in the brain as you're doing these techniques. And
Mm.
it's really quite remarkable what they found out. And then in universities and in schools, I'm actually a school teacher. I do these techniques with the kids in school as well, and I'm amazed at how much of an impact it has on their nervous systems, on their ability to just cope with day-to-day stresses. Because it might be when you're an adult and you're thinking, well, what are kids stressed about? For them, that stress of it could be an exam or it could be a friendship problem in the
Yeah.
playground, whatever it is. That's huge for them
Yeah.
in their
Absolutely.
time.
How old are the children, Fatima, that you teach?
I teach young ones, so mine are 6 to 7.
And they're happy to do this. I suppose at that age they they would be happy to do this, wouldn't
Yeah,
they? It's fun,
yeah.
it's something
And I
practical.
teach, I mean, so I teach across the whole school in terms of these techniques. I have sort of like a mental health and well-being role at the school.
Yeah.
And so I teach these techniques to the older ones as well. And we go into secondary schools and we teach as part of something called Yes for Schools. It's like a youth empowerment type program, which just gives these techniques to kids that need it. Going through navigating all those different friendship problems that they might
Yeah.
have or exam pressures, whatever might be going on for them when they're
There's a lot of pressures at the moment, isn't there,
there's so
for
many,
the
there's so
young
many. And there's
people?
social
Yeah,
media,
incredible.
navigating the whole
Yeah.
world that we live in right now. There's so much, that they need to cope with. So all of these techniques are fantastic.
Hmm.
I'm going to stop sharing a second. Yeah, and just come back to, the I guess the benefit of this technique. It's for all ages. Like it doesn't have to be that you're an adult and you have stresses and that's why you need this technique. Yeah, my kids do it as well with me, and they get that resilience back in their lives
And
from
just so
this.
your kids and the children you teach at school,
Yeah.
do they practice it willingly because they see the benefit of it straight away? Or is it just because, mum or teacher says this is what we're doing today? Is it
So it's
something they
like
look forward to?
Yeah, so it's a bit like, say, for example, in the beginning, you'd have to say to your children, brush your teeth,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So it's a little bit like that in the beginning because
cool. Mm,
you will recognize the benefits of this sooner or later, but it might not be immediate, right? And it's something where, in the sense of, I don't know, even if I compare the breathing technique even to something that my chiropractor said to me once, he said, don't wait for your body to break, come for your MOT before that. So,
that's true.
because
Yeah,
this is
it's
what we do,
just in
isn't it?
time.
In life
Yeah,
in general. Yeah, we wait for something to go wrong
yeah,
before we fix
absolutely.
it. But there's very little we do in the sense of self-care and maintenance to make sure that we're just ticking along nicely, right?
Yeah,
And that's where breathing techniques really help you tick over nicely, right? Because otherwise, what happens is you may have been breathing incorrectly for such a long time that now it has embedded itself as a way of, you're breathing shallow now. And that's just how you breathe. And that's going to catch up with you sooner or later, right? Because you've
mm,
deprived your body of oxygen, you've deprived your lung capacity of that 90% detox channel that it had. And therefore toxicity has built up in your system. You could be you could be eating cleanly, you could be doing other things that are really, really great, but yet there's this one vital element that maybe you're not breathing correctly, right? Which has just been overlooked. And unfortunately, a lot of us do overlook this very, very
yeah.
important, critical thing that we all do, right?
Can
Um,
you catch up for those of us that have not been looking after ourselves and we haven't had the MOT? Can you catch up? Is it too late, or can is this
No, no,
no,
it's
no, it's never.
absolutely not too late. No, no. I think this is actually the greatest benefit of this is it's never too late, right? For you to breathe correctly, it's there within you, right? You don't need to go out and buy some brand new tool in a shop to be able to do these techniques. You have everything that you possibly need right
Yeah,
there with you. And you can do it anywhere. You can do it in your sleep, literally, right? So, um,
it is.
that's I think the greatest benefit of this is that it's down to you, your lungs, your breathing techniques, and your own capacity to practice this. Yeah,
So
I
how can we do it? So you say you teach this and you run workshops.
Yeah. So in terms of, I mean, because I'm definitely not the only teacher out there, there's
Mhm.
lots and lots of different practitioners up and down the country and globally as well, because this is quite an international
Yeah,
organization. So you can look up a course that's near you, for example. If you just type in your postcode, the website is www.artofliving.org. And that's something that, maybe we can share. But yeah, it's something that you can pick up a course in your locality. You could go somewhere else on a retreat and do this course as well, because they are offered as retreats, as part of something that you can make as a holiday for yourself, along with, like, say, an Ayurvedic treatment or something else. If you want to really sort of go into that self-care and
yeah.
take some time out for yourself, that's also possible.
Well, we're actually talking about doing that, aren't we, as well? Maybe at my place that I've landed in, so which I'm turning into a retreat centre, and it'd be lovely to have you over next year sometime. We'll talk about dates
Yeah, that sounds
later to
fabulous. Yeah.
maybe get this going.
It is,
So,
it's really nice. If
well,
you can do it like that, then
yeah,
that's even better.
yeah.
Because we need that time out for ourselves,
Well,
just
I
to,
think that's it in the true sense of the word retreat. It's taking away yourself from whatever your whole life is and just retreating into that space and learning something wonderful that is going to enhance your life for all good reasons. Because when we're happier within ourselves, we can make the people around us happier as well. We don't have to trigger them. So it's really important. And there was a book that I read when I was very young or teenager called Pull Your Own Strings. I think it was a Dr. Wayne Dyer book. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's a similar sort of thing. What you're talking about is, people can come up and say things to you and poke you and prod you and call you all sorts of names, but it's your choice. You're pulling your own strings. It's your choice how you react, if you're button proof or not, because
yes. Yeah, that
it,
sounds exactly like what we just did, isn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is, and it is a choice. But sometimes it's very difficult to mentally just say, he's not going to push my buttons. So anything that helps and make us a cooler, calmer, more collective person, is a good thing for sure.
Yeah,
Is there
absolutely.
anything else you would like to say before we close about this?
No, I think I just want to inspire people to look at their breathing, and to just to notice it, and then they can take that next step of seeing how they can improve things for themselves. And by all means, you can go to their website. It was artofliving.org. There's lots of information even on that website itself that will tell you more about Sudarshan Kriya, the studies that have been done. So if you want to research that. The short form name of the technique is called sky breathing. So it's SKY, stands for Sudarshan Kriya and Yoga. That's the sort of the name that's given to the research studies that have been done on it as well. So if you
And
look
would you
up
say
sky
this is
breathing,
the most powerful career that there is?
yeah, yeah, by far, yeah,
It's the queen
absolutely,
of
it is.
it's the
Yeah,
queen of careers.
yeah.
Lovely. Well, I'm going to definitely look into it, and like you, I've trained as a yoga teacher, but when you're doing the yoga, you just sort of touch the kriyas. You don't go into them at in full
And
depth.
it's about connection as well. So
Yeah,
when you do these workshops to learn the breathing technique, you're part of, a group of people that are going through processes together.
yeah,
There's a lot of self-development that happens by way of the processes that accompany the course. So it's actually a natural experience in doing the workshop as a program. So those 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, it's not just the breathing. There's also processes that awaken something else quite deep within you. And that connection that you make with other people on the course is actually really, really beautiful and special. Yeah.
yeah. Fabulous.
Mhm.
Thank you, Fatima, so much for telling us about that and going through it. It's been a real pleasure. It's an eye opener for me as well, and it reminds me that as I've been listening to you, I've been aware of my breath, and it is a shallow breath, because we just stop at the top of our chest, don't we? We don't fully in hell. So it's lazy, really. And is it the Buddhist that says that you're born with a certain amount of breaths? I think they say you come in with a certain when you breathe all of them, then the lights
A
go out.
certain number of heartbeats or something, isn't it? I've
Yeah,
heard
but
that
we can slow
before.
it down. I
Yeah,
used to when I used to
it
teach
does. It
yoga. I
slows
used to,
it down completely. Yeah.
yeah, and it's a choice because the dog, as you say, panting, panting, panting. Because which dogs do quite a lot, and they don't last as long as the tortoise. I know a tortoise isn't the mammal. I don't think it's a mammal, but a tortoise can go on for 100 years. And it's very
Yeah.
slow, and so yeah, proof is in
We
the
can be
pudding.
tortoises together, Karen.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure to connect with you again, Fatima. So thank you so much. I will
Thank you
put
for
your
having me.
details on the description, so people can get hold of you through the website. And look forward to seeing you at my home when we run a retreat. And for those watching, thank you very much. If you like it, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, make any comments that you feel you would like to, and I'm sure Fatima will read those, or we get those comments to Fatima so she can answer any questions. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Karen.
It's a pleasure. And I'm going to try and end the recording now. So coming back, Fatima, we have said goodbye, but we were just chatting afterwards. And because I normally put these videos up raw, I don't edit them because it is what it is, and I don't have time, or I'm not very good technical. But we were talking about how this can help people, and I actually asked you how long do you need to do this practice, and you said about 20 minutes, which I think is a really important question. But also we've started to talk about who this can help, and within this, the world is topsy-turvy at the moment, and there is a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear going on with people that are terrified of a virus, or terrified of, I don't know, that paying the bills, or terrified because they can't heat their home. And you just said, well, this is where this practice is, this Kriya is so important. So tell me, repeat what you just said to me.
So, it's such an interesting observation. Like all during, whether it be the lockdowns or whatever has happened after that, I've really been observing how well are we prepared? How resilient are we to face these things, this constant onslaught that, we are sort of navigating through on a day-to-day basis. Whether it be, oh, look, there's chemtrails over my house, or whether there's this put in the cow feed with the Bovaer, and there's so many things that we're just constantly navigating, and then there's something else. Now, how we actually approach that, are we, really uptight? Are we devastated? Are we frustrated? Are we angry? Are we living in that constant state of fear of the next thing that they throw at us? Or can we take that step back and just observe from a space of calm and composure? Because this is the skill that we really, really need within us. And the breathing techniques help you to stay composed, to actually remain calm in the face of whatever is thrown at you, because staying calm helps you and your health, right? So your mental state, your peace of mind is worth more than anything else in your life. And whatever it is that is out there trying to distract you, trying to keep you in that state of fear. Whether in the mainstream, it could be the virus, like you said, that people are constantly scared of, or, whatever the other fear is. If we are equally afraid of Bill Gates or whatever he's trying to do, then we're no better. So we really need to think, okay, how do I preserve my calm state of mind? How do I remain at peace? And the breathing techniques are a tool to enable us to keep that composure no matter what. And so there's that added value, especially for us in this freedom community, to really, navigate these waters with that added advantage of being able to stay in that calm space, because it's only from that state of calm that we can then help empower other people. A frightened person can't really empower another person that's frightened, right? You need somebody that's calm, that's going to ground you, that's going to anchor you to be able to help even the people around you. And we can be those anchors for
That,
our near and dear ones.
yeah, but yeah, absolutely. And I think grounding is a key word here, which we do need to be grounded. And there's a lot of spiritual stuff going on, which I love. And I see myself as being a spiritual person, but in a human body. But I know a lot of spiritual people will be very much in their head, or in their emotions, in their heart, which is the right place to be, but they're not grounded. And I think that is it's very difficult for them to do the work and to help other people, because you know you have chosen to be on this planet as a human being, and you need to walk on the earth and be part of it, but not just in the head or in the heart and stuff like that. You've got to, as you said, anchor yourself in to be strong for yourself, your family, your friends, and to do whatever work that needs to be done in this transition that we're going through. This very exciting time to be on earth. I think it's very exciting, but I see it's exciting because I see myself as pretty grounded. But if you're not grounded, you're running around in fear, you know, whether it's paying the bills or getting ill or you know, whatever. So that's why this is a very, very good technique. Keep calm and carry on, they say. Keep
Yeah, I
calm,
do.
carry on. Yeah.
You know, our heart chakra, right? This is really where it's at. So when we're in our heart chakra, we can either experience one of three emotions. So there's love present there, there's also hatred, and then there's also fear. And the heart chakra is literally only capable of like your body is only capable of experiencing any one of those at a time, right? If it's in love, it's not going to feel hatred or fear. If it's in hatred, it can't feel the fear or the love at the same time. And if it's in fear, it can't feel the hate or the love. So you decide out of those three which one you want to live in, to be in. And if you're getting trapped in fear or hatred, then there's no space for love to blossom, right? So it's up to us to really safeguard our heart, to just feel that beauty of love and love for others and love for the planet and love for each other, rather than getting stuck in fear or hatred.
Wow, what a lovely way to end. If we have ended, I don't think we're coming to come back. Who knows? But absolutely, thank you for adding that, Fatima. So once again, I will say uh, thank you for watching. If you've been watching Wise Women weekdays, you've got Fatima on the sofa, or the other in London, away from me. I'm down in Sussex. So if you like it, give us a thumbs up. If you have any comments or you want to subscribe to the channel to get more of this kind of content, please do. And wishing you all the best. Fatima,
Thank you.
thank
Thank you.
you very much.